Welcome to Making Awesome, Chapter 26. What is feature creep and how to avoid it? But before we get into any of that, we got to hit the billing department because, as always, this episode and all the others are supported by 3D Musketeers. If you have an idea that you want to get off the ground, if you want to make awesome like all of our other customers, you can reach out to us at 3dmusketeers.com. All the links will be in the description down below. Tad?
Yes.
We got Thomas as well. What the hell is this thing on the screen?
So this is a pretty classic comic on what we're going to be talking about today.
Say it out to us, because this is actually
Yes.
from 1993.
Yeah. I forget the name of this. I don't even remember who the hell is the artist on this. The Swing graphic by S. Hogue.
Yeah, S with the O with the slash through it. I think that
sounds Swedish.
Swedish, yeah.
Yes, from 1993.
Danish.
This has been used. So this particular comic is about like programming, I think, but it applies to all kinds of projects.
Yeah, and we'll have the link for that down below as well. If you are listening audio only, this next couple of minutes might be lost on you, but
we'll try and describe it.
Bear with us.
So this comic is about a tire swing, right? And there's 6 different versions of this tire swing, all of which are equal kinds of ridiculous in different ways. And then the last one is just a regular ass tire swing on a tree. So
at the top it says problem solving is an art form not fully appreciated by some, and there are 6 little tiles of it. So Tad, talk us out. What do they say? What do they mean?
Yes.
And why? Why is this feature?
First one is the tire swing as proposed by the project sponsors. And it's like a tire swing, but it has like 3 wooden planks on the ropes. It's like, oh, that's fancy. It will do what you want, but it's a little over the top, right? Mm-hmm. Then you've got the one in the middle as specified by the project request. And instead of 3 planks, it's 3 ropes on 1 plank. So, okay. As designed by the senior analyst, tire swing attached to the side of the tree, just limply laying there.
Flopping on the ground. It doesn't work.
Yeah. The 4th one, as produced by the programmers. It's hanging from the tree, but it's hanging from 2 different branches. And so it's just like it would stuck against the trunk.
Yeah, it would swing into the trunk.
No good at all. And then as installed at the user's site, this one, I feel, the tree has been cut in half. It's being held up by sticks, and the tire swing is hanging in between the 2 halves of the tree.
So you have bottom of tree, top of tree, no tree in the middle.
Yeah.
And there's a tire swing, or not a tire swing, a swing
completely
there.
Been mangled and no longer
right. And then
even remotely. Yeah.
The final image is what the user wanted, which is just
what the user wanted in the first place.
A tire with a rope on 1 branch of the tree.
Yeah.
That is feature creep 100%. So let's go back to us. Yeah, well let's go back to us. We can get rid of this image.
Yeah. I'll be stop sharing. All right.
So let's talk about feature creep here for a minute. Tad, if you can give us an example of what feature creep looks like in the engineering industry, then I want to go to Thomas as well, because I feel like Thomas might get mad at me for some of these, because I'm fairly certain
you're probably guilty of it a little bit.
I am guilty. Yeah, I feel like I'm
Fran
guilty.
is definitely guilty. Yeah.
I mean, we all are. It's being optimistic and reaching for more, but it can get you into trouble, right?
Right.
So like in engineering and design and stuff, you're designing a part or a product or something, and you say, oh, I wanted to have these 5 features. And then in the course of designing it, you're like, oh, well, wouldn't it also be nice if we could add this? And at any stage, yeah. And it just builds and builds. And the problem is that nothing ever gets done because you keep adding on to it. And the more complicated it gets, you might end up compromising one of the core features you started out with. So, and you then have to like dial things back, and it makes timelines take longer. It makes you go over budget, generally speaking. And then you could end up having things that are just completely screwed up and not anywhere near what the client initially asked for. So that's my typical experience with that. It's why you try and just sort of constrain yourself and stick to your plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thomas, can you talk about it? And feel free to use every single time that I feature creeped as an example, because I would love, because I don't think I feature creep with Tad because Tad is on the team. And Tad's been on the team for years, so we kind of have an understanding. But Thomas, you're a little bit newer, and the role that we brought you on to do is one that is very, very commonly a victim of feature creep, which is branding and marketing and all the digital presentation of the company. So can you talk about that a little bit and what it has resulted in terms of the frustration and all of that? Because I want the viewers and the listeners to kind of get an understanding of it from a real world experience that we can actually discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, it's frustrating to a designer or an engineer or anybody who is like doing the work, right? When you have a client who may not understand that, like, at the base level, like, I feel like this is like pretty much everybody. We all just want to do good work that benefits the client and makes them happy. You know, like, yeah, it's a paycheck, but if you're not, like, I don't know, there's a lot more in it for me than just that, because I want things to work. Like, I want my clients to succeed, and I want to be part of their success. You know, I want to be a chunk of it,
because it reflects on you.
Puzzle pieces. Yeah, and also it's just like nice, you know, like the fact that you could be part of that success in some way is really good. So you put your real darndest effort into making something that is objectively good, that will, you know, work for blank customer. The thing that gets frustrating is you come in, and I think we talked about this before, with a ton of experience in your field to someone who may have little experience or none at all. And you say, like, I've had this with, like, I think logos are probably one of the best examples of this, where you have a business owner and they have, let's go with something fun. This business owner is a bakery that specializes in like what? Maybe why not? Weed's becoming more of a thing around lately. So we have a new business, and they are like, I now am going to make a bunch of baked goods, and they have weed in them. And that's my business, and I can't wait. And I want a logo for my business, and I want it to represent me. And designer comes in to talk to weed bakery business owner about their logo. And what is the simplest solution for a weed bakery logo? It would probably be the name, period. It's a word mark. That is a very functional logo. Not pick a really nice typeface, manipulate it a little bit, boom.
Yeah.
Client probably wants an icon, which is the second part of a logo, which is, you know, an actual image that makes the logo a thing. And I mean, they get way more complex, but we're boiling it down. Icon, imagery. We want like a thing. And so they're like, oh my God, wouldn't it be cute if we had like a cupcake with like a pot leaf sticking out of it? And it's like, yeah, sure. And that does it all, right? Like, whether it's good or not, objectively, this cupcake,
you've covered all the bases
with the little weed sprig sticking out of it is like, okay, you know, weed bakery. Like, I get it. And the name's underneath it. You're like, okay, we have objectively done the goal. You know, you pick a few colors. But the problem is clients a lot of the time are like, but I'm so much more than just a wheat bakery. I'm also like this happy, fun loving, you know, we love to have dogs in the restaurant. So can there be a dog in the logo? And you're like,
doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Well, you start to get rid of the point of a logo in the first place, which is a business outcome. You know, like the logo can be, you know, it's not art for you. This is something that's being made for your business to represent it and sell product and get people in the door and get people to go to your website, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, it's for you, but it's more for your business and more for your customer. So just because you want the cupcake to have a really goofy smiley face on it doesn't mean it's objectively the right decision, just because you don't think that the logo looks happy enough. you know, and then it's like you can tag on all these things of like, well, I want the logo to be like blank, 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 like all these things.
Yeah.
And the moment you try to pack that in there, you've suddenly ruined the like point of a nice simple mark that gets to the point really quick, under 3 seconds. Otherwise, your design has failed. If people don't understand what you did with your design in like 5 seconds, like they can't just look at it, you lost. You know, you were already at the bottom of the pile. So it's like people do that all the time, and that can be really frustrating. And I think this happens with websites too.
Yeah.
People always think that they need more functionality in a website than they ever need. Like they want to add a bunch of interactive things on their website. They want it to like have fade in,
Let's
fade
just
out.
put more pop-ups, Thomas. I mean, because customers love websites that randomly play music, randomly play videos, and have pop-ups that are very tough to click off of.
Mandatory autoplay.
The funny thing that comes out of that is like that's stuff that's we've probably already grown out of. I barely see that kind of weird, crazy shit on websites. Pop-ups, yes, but like music and things, people have grown out of it. That was like 90s garbage that we finally figured out how to not deal with.
There are still companies that do it, and it bothers me. Don't do that.
But then there's like, you know, people want to keep adding tabs to websites, and ideally, in my professional opinion, you need 4 tabs on your website. Otherwise, people start to get lost.
Tabs, you mean like home,
the things across the
blog, that kind of thing?
Navigation.
Tabs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So navigation gets, you know, you want to stack those if you can.
Yeah.
And like people want like stuff to kind of like fade in, and it's like, but do you need it to? Like, does it enhance the user experience? Sometimes
it could be text only,
but not a lot. So
Yeah.
it's like you need, you know, what's your what do they call it? Minimum viable product.
MVP.
What is the minimum viable product of your website?
Put lipstick
Done.
on the pig later. And like
Yeah.
we have customers like this all the time. Well, you know, why don't we do this? And we're like working on it. Well, wait, what if we did it this way?
and
Okay,
me as
that's
the
a
person
change
slaving
order.
away on it, I'm like, I haven't even finished this stuff yet. You know, you're just making it harder.
And me as the business owner, it's like, look, this is a change order. If you want to pay again, that's fine. But understand what we just did, garbage. We're going to throw it away. So we can either, you know, maybe we're like halfway through. We can finish this out. You can try it and then make changes. Or you can just make umpteen amount of changes while we're doing the design. It is truly problematic. It's why we've gotten very specific and you know, purposeful in the questions that we're asking, because we need to have that information from people to make certain that we can avoid feature creep as well, because it's very common that we come up with ways that we could change little things, and every now and then it like a little spark goes off in the person's head and they're gone.
Yeah, there's no getting them back to that point.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of iron these things out at the very beginning and figure out what the scope is going to be. So, yeah.
I think it helps education, man. When you first work with a client, and I've done this many times, it's letting them know, and education serves 2 purposes for me when talking to someone about, you know, and avoiding feature creep. This is great. Ooh, nice little segue. Go Thomas. Little party balloons. This is
should we put this one into editing so you can put the balloons in it? No, probably
not worth it. So
see, I was talking about getting a little soundboard where I could inject
Feature
audio.
creep.
Feature
Like,
creep.
Feature creep.
Remember how last week we were talking about needing a Vuvuzela or something for Thomas?
Feature creep.
I was really thinking of like just building like a stream deck.
Feature creep.
Yeah.
A stream deck is feature
Feature
creep
creep.
because you could get a shitty numpad from Staples
Exactly
and make it do
what I
the same
was going
thing
to
as
do.
a. So, that's another thing.
Notice
People
how I
always
did
want to
nothing.
buy like, yeah. People always want to buy fancy good equipment, thinking that it will make their stuff better, and it never will. 100% of the time, you having better stuff, unless you can make it better, faster, stronger with new equipment, you don't need it.
I can
You
change my
100% don't
camera
need
back to the bad one though. But the camera was worth it. The camera for this was worth it.
It's it's about content, right? And that's a whole nother thing. If you don't have good content, you're done. It doesn't matter if you're in 1080p.
Is feature creep allowable in some scenarios though? Because I would say in the content world, feature creep is as long as you have the budget for it. So I think that's a caveat for all of feature creep. If you have the budget for it, feature creep the shit out of it, but understand what's going to happen. But on a content side,
I would actually say super no, like huge no to
Really?
if you have budget, should you feature creep? No, because you start to put too much shit in there. Why would someone? The beauty of a good product is the simplicity and the fact that it solves the problem that it sought out to do. Like if you have a shaver that's also a toothbrush, that's also like, you know, every other
Yeah,
goddamn
it's going to
thing
do
in your
none of
house.
those things well.
but Tom,
It won't
I
do any
want to
of
be
them well.
brushing my teeth and trimming my mustache at the same time.
I don't think anyone really wants
This
to be
ain't the
able to do
Jetsons, son.
Well, so yeah, see, I think even with social media and content, it's like, no, you need to boil down exactly what you need to do and do it well. Because the moment that you try to do too much stuff, no matter how good your team is, no matter how many people you have working on it, you will lose your message in the sheer amount of garbage that you're putting out.
Yeah.
You know,
It's totally true. And
you lose your identity.
I guess I was saying specifically for content creation, right? If we have the budget to add lots of cool editing, like deal with it glasses, like we did on our last video. If you don't know what that video was, maybe you should take a look at that. It was the video on, was that the Polyterra video that we did on, or was it the Marketeers
Yes, that
video?
was.
Okay. So that was the carbon negative plastic video where Thomas brought in some deal with it glasses because, I mean, that to me was a feature creep. Was it necessary? Absolutely not. Do I have a pair of 3D printed deal with the glasses? Yes, I do. I just couldn't find them at the time. So I said, well, do it in post.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's a pretty low stakes one, I think.
Okay.
That's almost not feature creep to me. Feature creep to me says like, so let's look at the Polyterra video, for example.
Yeah.
The video was basically tell people about Polyterra, flat, objective, put out content under 3DM's name that says and talks about Polyterra. That was the objective, right? And adding deal with it glasses to it may have enhanced the experience, but it did not add another feature to
That's
it.
fair.
We did
Feature
not
creep
change the
It's
course
moving the
of that video.
goalposts. Like, say you then turn that video into, I want to talk about Polyterra, and then some other unrelated news story in the same video. Then it becomes feature creep.
Would it be feature creep if I was, while I was recording, also live streaming? So, you know, for like patrons or something that we don't yet have. TBD, if you want us to do a Patreon, I'm totally cool with that. Just let us know in the comments or something. But
no, I think that's just a different channel, right? Like same content. Like feature creep to me for the Polyterra video, it might not even be adding another news story on, because you just, I mean, as long as you start with the idea of saying like this will be a, you know, even if you're mashing two videos together that shouldn't have been, that's still not feature creep to me, because our intent is to do this thing. But if we're already in production of the video, and then it's like, oh, but what if in the middle of the video, like we had like a segment that had Grant doing some dumb bullshit, and then we cut back to the video for some reason. Now we're starting to like muddy the water. And the moment that people now click on this video and they get to the point where Grant's doing some weird stuff, they're going to be like, I don't like, this isn't what I came here to watch.
Weird.
Yeah.
Unless you've set up the expectation with like a YouTube channel. I think like Corridor Digital does this well. They have like ad breaks and things in the middle. Theirs are expected, you know, and again, it's part of their video
their
from
brand.
the
Right.
beginning.
If
It's
that's the
scripted.
formula.
You know, it's ready to go and they know what the intent of the video is, because in that case, you know, their goalpost is make fun video. Also, you know, put in ad breaks for our sponsors that are paying us to make this video, and also put an ad break for ourselves. So we're pushing product and we're also creating entertainment, so that they go into it with that idea. But right in the middle, you know, they're not just like, let's do some weird other thing that's completely unexpected. And like, yeah, you know, I mean, it gets a little muddy with like content stuff, but you know, more is never better. It just doesn't work like that. It just gets muddy.
Unless it's
and your
money.
voice gets lost.
If you want to pay us more money to do the same thing, more is always better in that case.
But I think when you come to a brand, that's where it gets weird, because you could make more content about more things with more hashtags and more ats, but the moment you start
with that.
the moment that you start to like
'Cause I
the
don't
moment
get
that you
them.
start to like lose the voice / identity of the brand is the moment that you've steered too far off course, because now we're starting to undo the work that you've already started to do. Because eventually what you're trying to do with a brand is create emotional connection with people and build trust and all of these things. And unless you're consistent and have a nice, consistent voice that isn't like, like the moment that 3DM is like, oh, we gotta, the new trend is to play this new video game and make a let's play of it. If we did that, we might as well just like trash the entire brand, because it's like that is so far out of left field and
Not what
very
we
feature
set out
creepy.
to do.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like it just doesn't work. And you start to muddy the waters again. You need to just be like super clear and do the simple stuff well, and do it perfect or good first. Then you can talk about some other stuff, because once you have a foundation, you can build a house, but you can't before you have a foundation. Yeah. So
Mobile homes, but that's a completely different question. I know that's pedantic. So
yeah,
what? Because I know I'm guilty of it, especially when it comes to branding. What have I done that you've seen as a feature creep, and how have you? Because I know you've definitely tried to steer me in directions, or basically said I'm just not going to do it this way. So what and I appreciate that, because again, I have what my expectations are, and this is the same with any person, right? They have their expectations, but if their expectations aren't reasonable, valuable, meaningful, and in budget,
Yeah.
there are times where people have to step in. So Thomas, what have you done in this particular scenario to assist in keeping me out of that feature creep lifestyle?
Well, I think it's like we established a working relationship from the get-go where you trusted me, right?
Yes.
So that's hugely helpful. It's the education component, right? So me being able to educate a client about what I do, I think I almost said this, but I didn't say it earlier, serves two purposes. One, educates the client so that they know that when I'm talking about something, they're not completely in the dark. So they can follow along with what I'm doing and have a base understanding of why I'm doing it, not just that I'm doing it out of my ass, And two, educating someone also establishes your credibility in the subject, building trust, knowing that I know what I'm talking about, so that both of those things lead to down the road, if someone says something or suggests something that is off course, I can correct it.
Exactly.
And because there's trust built into the relationship.
Hey, idiot, remember what we talked about?
Basically. So, I mean, like, I think it's hard to find like a concrete, like big example of this with you specifically, Grant. But
oh, well, that
like,
makes me feel good. I thought you were
I mean,
going to
it's
have
just
a
like-
whole list of them.
No, I mean, it's just like, it's small things. It's like why, I mean, this is a recent one, QR codes, like it doesn't, there's plenty of probably arguments for it, but it's like, how much will it really affect the outcome in the end is like an unknown. And also like, I don't know how many people in our audience actually are going to use it. So we've already alienated maybe half of the audience because people aren't going to use a QR code. Either they don't want to, they don't know how, or they, didn't even swipe to the next photo.
Can we back up a little bit and go? And yeah. I wanted to talk about what it was for, because we're talking about QRs, but the person listening may not know what we're referencing here.
Yeah.
And so we're referencing on Instagram. So for those that don't know, Instagram does not allow you to put links in photo descriptions. They do not allow it. And so a lot of companies say, hey, link is going to be in the bio. They use Linktree or some other generic whatever. We use a specialized link that we created that goes to Linktree. It helps us better track the metrics, because Linktree doesn't give you shit unless you pay. Haha, Linktree found a way around it. But for us, and at least when I saw, I'm like, well, wait a minute. QR codes are like, we can make them quick. They're very, very easy to do. They're totally free. And all it would require you to do is to swipe on that photo to see that QR. And maybe I'm the exception to the rule. But in looking at our metrics, I know I'm not. That I look at Instagram and social media on a computer. I don't look at it on my phone. I also hate social media, so I'm really only on it like for company purposes. And so I was like, well, okay, that's kind of cool. I'm also on particularly a Pixel phone, which has a Google Lens built in. So I can hit and hold on a photo and it will instantly scan it. If there happens to be a QR, I said, oh, that'd be kind of cool. For those that have that capability, it would work. But ultimately we found that, okay, does it add a lot of extra time? It's like 5-10 minutes max of Thomas's time, of course, that he's compensated for. But if we didn't see a lot of scans from it, clearly, one, we just don't have the audience, which we don't. But two, people, like Thomas said, aren't swiping. So to get to that QR code, you would have to swipe to a different photo. My initial understanding and my thought was that we would put the QR code in the Instagram photo. Ultimately, Thomas said, no, that's not a great idea, and here is why. This is why we love having Thomas. Because if Grant is left to make these decisions, Grant's going to screw it up.
You're going to be like George Lucas in the prequels. We'll get everything.
Yeah. We're recording this in early March of 2021. Go look at what our marketing was early March of 2020 if you want to see what Grant does. Because Grant doesn't know how to do this stuff. And I'm getting better at it, right? And that's only because of the training and the, kind of wrist slapping that I get from Thomas, but that's good. And like, I guess I can't easily describe it because it's one of those things you kind of have to be there. But that is a feature creep problem that we had because I'm saying, how can we get more people? Because like you say, link in bio, I'm like, what the hell's a biography? You have a book? I don't want to buy a book. No, it's a thing you say on Instagram. I didn't know this. But I'm the exception to the rule. I'm the idiot that doesn't know how to use Instagram.
It's just, platforms in general, and then knowing just, because I just put myself in the place of if I saw a QR code on Instagram, I would never be caught dead trying to scan that thing. I would figure out another way to do it because it's like for me, it would be a screenshot and I'd have to take a screenshot. And if I had to screenshot a QR code every time I wanted to visit a link on Instagram.
In my defense, we were going to have both the QR code and the links in the bio. It was just one other way for people to connect with us. It was not a one or the other.
Yeah, no.
Just for those out there that are like, really? He wanted to break from tradition and just do a QR code? That's stupid. No, I promise. I'm not. I know.
You're just covering all your bases.
My father has always said I had a face for radio. He's not wrong. But I
you
promise
said that
I'm
to you?
not.
That's not nice.
my dad's a big joker.
That's not nice.
No, come on.
That's hilarious.
It is. It's my dad. That's what he said. My dad is good for good sage dad jokes and good sage dad advice all the time. For whatever that might be worth. Hi, Dad, because I know you're listening because you listen and watch every episode of this
Hello,
podcast.
Dr. Posner.
Yeah, that's true. Dr. Posner. Yeah, and I don't know.
I mean, it's like a lot of things, right? It's a lot of little things that's kind of like I think like another example would probably be like being objective of like where we put our URL. Because sometimes it'll be like too small in certain situations or like, I think when we were talking about stickers a while ago, it was like, we should have phone number, email, and website on the sticker. And the realistic look at it is if people are going to contact us, they're going to go to our website and that is where they will make a final decision to contact us. They're not going to call us because they saw a sticker.
This is why people, just so you know, having someone that knows what the hell they're talking about for branding is incredibly important. Yes, having a Thomas has probably kept us in business since Thomas has been with us.
And with that point of the sticker thing, I'll just finish that. It's like you could put all those things on it, right? You really could.
Yeah.
But you start sacrificing the integrity of the look and the design and the feel, which is all part of your overall brand, which is really, really important.
Just
So
to
the moment you
sacrifice
start
real estate.
yeah, so the moment you start stacking stuff on instead of a clean website URL that is ours, our domain name, pure and simple, that carries all of our information on it and has contact and examples and everything you could want. That's all you need. You did it. And if someone sees a sticker and they like it and they're like, oh, who's that? It's like, oh, I know I can go to their website. Because I can't even imagine a universe where I call someone because I saw their phone number on a sticker on the back of somebody's truck. I can't even put myself in
You
that
might
place.
Google the phone number.
No, and see, here's something for those out there. Don't put the name of your company on your vehicle unless it's a company vehicle, because the first time you drive like an asshole, and you're gonna, someone's
becomes
gonna call
associated.
you, they're gonna yell at you, they're gonna leave you a 1-star Google review, and it's not fun. It's not fun. And it was funny because I was thinking about feature creep of all places while I was getting needles put into my spine on Friday. For those that don't like weird medical stuff, look away for the next 10 seconds. I'm going to hold up the picture of my spine with 4 needles in it. All right, you're good. You can come back. But
Did it help?
I don't know yet. Amber says I'm, walking a little bit better, but it still hurts like sin because, they slammed needles through my muscles. I'm just being tenderized, realistically. It's like what you do with a cheap steak, you hit it with a bunch of needles. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. For those that don't know, I have 2 herniated discs, and I am going through that process and everything about it. So that was a medial branch block for all of the people out there that understand medical terms. If you don't, you can look it up. I don't really care. But I was laying on the table, and I'm thinking, there are better ways to do this, because they're using what's called fluoroscopy. And so it's a 100% piece of acrylic, like an inch and a half thick piece of acrylic that I'm laying on, because they put an x-ray machine and it's a big C. So it comes, if my body's here, there's a thing under me and on top of me so that they can pass an x-ray through it and see where those needles are. Well, you can do that with a lot of other things. One of those is like an fMRI, but of course, then you have to use non-ferrous needles. Which
good
is a
luck
whole
with that.
titanium.
Well, yeah, more expensive though.
There's nothing cheap about any of this.
I was gonna say, that's true.
And see, the thing with fluoroscopy is they have to make a move, take a picture, make another move, take a picture, make another move, take. They're bombarding me. I had like 30 X-rays, which is fine as long as you do it over a course of time. But I guess with back injuries, you can only get so many injections, or they have to know where they're going, because the amount of radiation that you get exposed to can actually get up into measurable levels of microsieverts, which is a measurement of radiation. And so because of course I'm always
have
thinking
them,
about it.
Tattoo the insertion sites.
I'm not gonna do
For reference.
I mean,
tenderize here.
That way they'll know where to go next time.
No, but it's things like the screens that they were using were old CRTs. Drop my phone.
Ooh.
And I asked him, why are these CRTs? He said, well, why not? I'm like, but why? He said, I don't know. It's what the machine had. It's just, but it works, right? And so that's one of those cases where they said, we don't need to feature creep this. Yeah, are there other ways to do it? Sure. There's other technology that we could do this with, but you know what? It just works. And I was on the table, yellow back with iodine, needles in me, needles out of me, 15 minutes? And only one little correction because, my body hates getting things poked into it with needles. So, it's like, ugh!
Yeah.
But and I got to talk to the doctor about, okay, why do we do it this way instead of another way? And he said, I've done it, other ways before, but this way, he said specifically for backs, I have way more range of motion to get in there and do what I need to do. He said, I've done them with fMRIs. However, it's really hard for me to work because I'm working inside of a tube and I can't really see all that well. He said, does it suck that I have to take a bunch of x-rays? Yes. Is it an issue? No. And that's a great example of a system where it was feature crept like crazy, and then the users are like, no, back this up. Because the medical world is incredibly common to see feature creep. Just because, one, they're willing to pay for it. The budgets exist, and particularly in the United States, the American medical system is good unless you don't have a lot of money. There you go. Yeah. And
you get a lot less bang for your buck.
On the engineering side of things, right? Because we're literally working on some medical stuff right now.
Yeah.
It is very common to see feature creep, and we have to say, all right, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's get you something that works. Adding this thing to it is actually really, really simple. But will complicate things a lot. We all know the project we're talking about.
Yeah,
not the medical one, but the one that was feature crept like crazy. We are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna take a bath on that project. Like brought on another engineer, take a bath on the project. But that kind of stuff happens. We learned the hard way. Sorry, I have to keep adjusting. But,
no, it's okay. Well, on the medical project, it's interesting because we started at a kind of a complicated point and then have since dialed it back a little bit, and it actually is working out a lot better.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of self-evident when you're feature creeping yourself too much. And in general, one of the reasons that we try to do like off-the-shelf components on things is because you could do everything custom, but there's a lot of time there's just no need other than just for the hell of it,
Yeah, if you want to say
save
your
a lot of
parts
money.
100% custom, go ahead.
Yeah.
But Thomas will tell you that's not a great way to market something.
Not necessary.
If I'm looking at a product saying it's 100% unique, never been done before, I'm going to let somebody else beta test it.
I think the interesting thing is like, who was it? This is going to be a really cheesy, good old callback to someone. So this is like you can't ignore the success of Apple computers in general.
No.
Like, especially with Steve Jobs at the helm. The reason, and one of the reasons, and something that Steve Jobs said a lot, and I think it pertains to this, is he worked backwards from what the consumer wanted, not trying to fit new technology to the consumer. So he envisioned basically like, what would I love to be able to do? Not the fact that someone at Apple behind the scenes developed some kind of like, say that AR, probably augmented reality, so like mixed reality stuff, was early stages. Or no, let's go glassesless 3D. Glassesless 3D was in its really, really early stages. And they were like, we got to figure out how to market this to the consumer.
Shoehorn that into
like, we got
to
figure this out and get it into the product. But then you have people saying, but no one would use it.
Looking at you, Samsung.
We can't go and sell this just because, like, we can't just add features to it. That will make it good. And so, the thing that like Steve Jobs did, and, that was probably pretty smart, and his team of many people that did all this stuff was like, what is the end goal? Like, what do I wish that I could do with this thing? And it's usually that one thing or a bunch of small little things that make the experience really good.
Yeah.
Rather than tacking on new stuff because it's new and cool and just because we can. Doesn't mean you should. And it definitely doesn't mean it's going to sell you anything more. Like, down to its core, iPhone and iPod and everything, super simple. Like, it's built to be simple at the end of the day, because it's like a simple user experience, which is why it's so popular. Just because it's, straight out the box, just does everything.
Which isn't to say that, like, I feel like phones with every generation.
Well, yeah, and everything is like now. Everything is getting more complicated, and also, to be fair, like every other phone company is effectively now simple, out of the box, easy to use
Yeah.
because everyone's doing that. You know, it makes sense. But that's the thing, right? Again, like I said before, clear objective. You know, this will do blank. And then we can start talking about apps and things and updates and, you know, dialing it in and adding things to it. But unless you have that good base, where are you going?
Yeah.
You know, you need a good working base. But
Right. Yeah, it is interesting to me because we see people come in with ideas where they're pie in the sky. They're imagining this selling 10 billion products, but when it comes down to, you know, all right, so how does it work? Well, what do you mean? Well, how do you envision it functioning? Because without knowing how it functions, we can't build it. Yeah, great. I'm glad that your dream fairy whatever told you that you're going to sell 10 billion products, but if you don't have that idea, and then of course when you tell someone to get that idea, they're going to come back with something that Samsung would make rather than something that they can actually afford. Because, like, look, Samsung is selling cell phones at $2,000 US.
Yeah, it's up there.
Let's think about all the millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that they had in production. Like, why Samsung has a phone that has a 120x zoom is completely beyond me. There's no valid reason for a cell phone to need 120x zoom. You know why? Because you can't hold a phone stable with that much damn zoom.
It'll shake around all over the place.
Yeah, you're going to look like you're Michael J. Fox. You can't do that. But
you know what
they said it's a sales feature.
What I just realized is an absolutely great example of how feature creep did not ruin a product, and they did the thing that was good base, add it later. And I can't stress enough that a company that's been doing this forever super well is Nintendo. And they have always built a very good base product. They've had mix-ups. But think about this. Game Boy, the first Game Boy, it had no backlight in it. It was basically just a black and white little brick that you play your video games on, you know, straight. That's the Game Boy. And then Nintendo was like, oh, so people want a light?
You can get that Mad Catz thing for it, though. You all know what I'm talking about, right? With the damn magnifier and shit.
Exactly.
But Nintendo made their own line of stuff, right? And they made a light for it. And they were like, this is what we wish the product had, but we could not include in the original thing because it would be either too expensive, too weird, doesn't fit with the product. Like, we would never be able to market it because it has a light on it until later when they, you know, did that. But at the time, they were like, no, this works. Like, we do not want to screw this guy up. Straight. This is the thing. Sell it.
I have to completely agree with you. Yeah.
Game console ever. Still, maybe. Crazy. And they're still doing that shit, man. The Nintendo Switch is a console that came out very good base, and then they were like, okay, what can we do to enhance the product?
Oh, the Labo's amazing.
Cardboard.
And
it's cardboard.
But I mean, even with that stuff, it's like they built something that could be modular and could change based on what they needed. And they were like, well, what if you needed different controllers that could fit on the side of the console? That's not something that we're going to include in the first model because that would be insane.
But you leave it open for that.
But we leave it open, or different charging ports, or like now it turns into a toy because we have an exercise version of the game, but we're not going to sell the exercise version with the whole thing because good base, you know?
Yeah.
We have the thing.
Because
so is Microsoft ran by Meghan Trainor?
What?
Is that a joke that's going to fall flat here?
Yes.
I think
she's the all about the bass, no treble girl.
Oh, God.
I got to say, Grant, the really missed the bus on that one. Feel like you're still at the bus stop.
But no, that's the difference between feature creeping and leaving yourself open for accessories.
And And super, super fun fact, by the way, Nintendo is, I think, to this day, the only video game company that manufactures its own console and sells it at profit.
Everyone else does it at a loss because they make their sales on.
Because
They'll
they
make
make their
their
sales
money
on
on the
video
games.
games. But Nintendo has always sold their consoles at a profit and still are able to do so. It's kind of cool. Just a fun little tidbit. But Nintendo's done it really good all the time. And even when they failed, they still had a clear objective, and it wasn't feature creep why it failed. Like the Virtual Boy, the very first venture into virtual reality, which was a colossal failure. But it knew what it was, and it did one thing, and it did it poorly. Oh man.
Yes, it
but
did.
That's it, right? But that's all it did.
Do you want a migraine? Get a Virtual Boy.
Do you want to actually vomit, which happened to a ton of people?
Yep.
But they still, like, even in that case, even in the case of failure, you got to admire the fact that they said this is what the thing does.
And then we look at like what Sony did with the PlayStation 2, where it had the ability to go online. How many games for the PlayStation 2 came out that actually had online multiplayer playability?
Well, even
Not
original
that many.
Xbox, right? Also had the capability. I think the GameCube had an
It did.
adapter that made
You
it
had to add
so
a
you could go
thing to it,
online.
yeah.
Nintendo's been on Cloud 9 this whole time. They didn't even put it in the original thing. They made an adapter for it.
They knew that it was coming down the line, so they left themselves a port. And that's pretty smart. We're doing that literally with this feature crept project that we're dealing with, where we said, all right, you want this? Cool. We're going to design it so it can be added. That way you now get two products. So you get one without this added feature that is your base model. Then you get your premium model, right? Honda would go from the base to the LX or the EX.
That's actually probably a really good way to look at it too. Your car variants of what you're buying when you get
Trim levels.
A little less, because I feel like
some of them are very nebulous.
You don't need that stuff, but it's not ruining your product. But like,
exactly, I don't need that stuff.
But say if like this is a good example of it. I think the GameCube thing with the internet thing is actually really interesting, because the GameCube came out without internet capability.
You want to know the other one? What about the Rumble packs for the N64? Because they didn't have vibration, so they made Rumble packs. And you know what? They didn't have internal storage, so what did they make? They made a memory adapter.
Pack.
But they didn't put it in the original product because they didn't know if it would sell yet, right? They didn't know if Rumble would be they probably had it, but they didn't know if that was a feature that people would go bonkers for.
So they made it optional.
And so they didn't manufacture it with every console and every controller because they didn't know. And then when it worked, every controller from then on, every controller, not even Nintendo specific, had Rumble because it worked. They tested it.
But Sony even coined DualShock because it had two Rumble motors in it. Like, it literally became a marketing thing because of it. And Nintendo is literally the perfect example of a company that's because
of good product design.
That is Japanese product design and development at its finest. Truly.
It doesn't even matter, like, putting everything aside of, like, you know, I know people are heated about this, but if you're talking about people that are purely product designers, Nintendo's made their consoles fun like toys ever since the beginning, and that's the appeal. And they do it really well. They make good literal products that you hold, feel.
Well, I mean,
handle,
like the original Game Boy was literally like IED proof, as the one dude found out.
Yeah, because they knew it would be getting taken around, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, first time that we've ever had a mobile electronic device of this nature that's going to be for kids.
You can blow it up and it'll still turn on.
Crazy.
And when you look at it, Nintendo was absolutely going, at some point in their career, they brought on someone who's like, all right, we got to sex this up a little bit. Then the N64 came out with the controller that is one of the least ergonomic controllers I've ever had in my life, with that stupid joystick.
Hold on, I got one.
Of course he does.
I think I have one too.
Your friend that had an N64, he had two controllers, and he always gave you the one with a joystick that didn't work very well. And you know who I'm talking about.
It was all loose.
You know who
they made
you
that
are
sound.
out there. Is that like an original one, or is that one of the...
No.
That's the USB one.
This is a USB.
And there you go. Look, it's got the port on the bottom of it.
Yeah, for memory card and rumble
This
pack.
controller is so successful, though, ergonomics aside, that you can still buy it, and now it's been updated to work on computers.
You can get their SNES. I mean, I have a real SNES, and for all those out there, it's not yellowed. Yeah, I've kept it in the shade. Yeah, but all of Nintendo's products have gone through this new revitalization because the age that grew up with them, the millennials, are getting to the point where they're getting married and or having children. And because of that, they want to give their kids the same experience that they had. Do you want it? There it is, baby. The SNES. Hell yeah. But it's amazing because you look at it from Nintendo's perspective. You're like, we already got this shit done. Change out the thing.
I was gonna say,
and sell it.
Could churn it out forever and never change anything.
Someone had to climb up a ladder to find the mold for the SNES controller, just blow a ton of dust off of it and bring it down and put it back into the machines.
Yeah. I think that's actually like weirdly getting into this conversation. It's like I feel like they're a pretty good example of like
they're phenomenal.
They were doing product testing on the product that was already selling, right? And if it didn't work, they were going to say, okay, no, scrap it.
Like,
and I bet you they've done that before.
What product has Nintendo? I think, the one they recently came out with that I didn't understand, the 2DS. You have the 3DS. Why'd you come out with the 2DS? Why?
Just to lower the price point.
Exactly.
For the people who didn't really feel that they needed the 3D part.
I own a 2DS, and I used to own a 3DS, and it's because it was a lower price point, and I did not use the 3D really.
Oh, because the 3D on the 3DS was honestly and I don't need prescription glasses. These are to help me not hate myself on these long calls. It would hurt my eyes as someone with pretty decent vision. I can't.
I mean, it was good for what it was trying to do, but
it's and it had no other option. Cool. It was great.
Yeah, and it was cool, but they also built in the fact that you could just turn it off. And I mean, like, that might be one of the things. I mean, they sent it, right? And it did work because the 3DS has been selling consoles for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They only just stopped manufacturing them. Oh no, they're going out next year. I think they're still selling them and manufacturing them.
Well, it's like sort of like the PS3. How long did that go? Like almost a decade.
A lot of these guys get built forever, but
I still have a PS3.
Yeah,
right?
I mean
is it a 3? Yeah, it's a 3 because it was when it was cheaper to buy a PS3 than buy a Bluray player.
And a lot of the stuff, as far as like, I think the 3D feature of the 3DS is an interesting one. If you're going to really get into it, because they never really incorporated it in a way that changed gameplay because you couldn't, because not everyone was going to use it and couldn't use it.
Well, then the other thing was that the developers, right? Because you look at it, when it comes to a game console, right? The manufacturers of the game console can feature creep it, but so can the developers, right? The developers of the games themselves can say, well, wait, Donkey Kong is a good game, but what if we incorporated it to work with a Rumble Pack? Well, now all the programmers are cussing at you because now they have to start over.
Yeah, you got to add. Yeah. Oh, this event will have Rumble when it wouldn't have before.
Yep.
So another great example: Nintendo, the 3DS didn't have 2 thumbsticks, and so they made an attachment that gave you a second thumbstick. That was a thing that they did.
And then they came out with the Switch because they saw that attachment worked. And
basically,
the Switch,
in a way, yeah. As
someone who is very much a PC master race kind of person, I love my PC. It's a 4770K, now overclocked to 4.27 gigahertz. Hell yeah. Honestly, the Switch is one of the greatest gaming experiences that I've ever had. It uses, Bluetooth for controllers, so you can get a GameCube controller, an N64 controller, a, Nintendo whatever Pro controller they call it. You've got the Joy-Cons, and then it came with a dock so you can plug it into your television, stick the stupid thing in it, and boom, you can game on your TV.
You want to know what's amazing about it? And I love this. The Switch is such a good selling console. It's so successful, blah blah blah. And while everyone's worried about their games being in 4K, the Switch runs natively and only can in 720. But no one cares because the console is good. No one
Because
cares.
PC Master Race.
But it's not trying to compete with that. It's
That's
its
what
own
I should
thing.
do. Like, because for those that don't know, if you haven't noticed, my hair is getting quite long. Until my back injury is resolved, I have decided not to cut my hair. So we're either going to grow it long enough to donate
Mullet.
it.
Do a mullet.
No, I should do the PC Master Race thing. But if I can't donate my hair, then we're actually going to do a charity fundraiser for someone locally to come and shave my head. I'll let people come and shave my head. Now I put it on recording, so now
That'd
I
be
can't
fun.
back out of
Now
it.
you're committed.
Yeah.
Because I want to
But-
raise money, particularly for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I think it'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool. But I mean, either way, feature creep is it is an issue, and I guess, man, we should really, anytime someone starts a feature creep, we should say, so we want you to look at Nintendo, and let's go through that.
Let's just go through their thing. But that's the thing, right? And like I tell people all the time, it's like, oh, but our video needs to be like in 4K or it needs to be in 1080, and it's like Nintendo's got their video games in 720, and they're competing with 4K.
I mean, mind
And
you, what cheap webcam doesn't do 1080 these days, right?
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, like, they are competing. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not the thing you should be worried
It's
about, because
not what
the
it's the
content,
gameplay. Yeah.
the content is so good that no one even noticed. Like,
I legitimately didn't
Yeah.
notice, but
Isn't that crazy?
I'm also not, and I guess I think it comes down to expectations, right? My expectation of a console is that it's not going to look like a gaming computer, where I'm not going to get that cinematic experience, but that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to have 20 minutes of enjoyment before I get a headache and realize I suck at video games, then I put it away. And when I say I put it away,
Perfect.
it's Amber's Switch, so we just turn it off.
Very good.
Yeah, I my last handheld Game Boy Advanced SP, probably. They're the one with the folding screen.
That was a good
What a
one.
great console.
That was honestly one of the last great Game Boys. Had a Game Boy Color, had the original Game Boy. I still have a Dreamcast. That to me was probably like the premiere of its
Dreamcast is
time.
cool.
But that was Sega, of course.
Game Boy Advance SP is also really cool because you could get an adapter cable that would plug into your GameCube, and you could play games on the GameCube and have a second screen for your menus and stuff.
It was basically like a predecessor to the
Wii U.
DS in that way.
Oh
Yeah.
no, man! Super
Or the
Nintendo
Wii.
had it first, where they had the thing
have
where you
two
could use your
screens.
Game Boy games in the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That to me blew my mind, because then,
Yeah, they've
like,
always done
growing
that. It's
up,
crazy.
I could play Pokemon on the CRT console television that we had, and that was just a lot of fun for me. Which, by the way, Pokemon just hit 25 years, and that doesn't hurt me in my soul at all.
Love it. Let's
But,
go.
You know, feature creep is a
Isn't it
problem.
35 years?
25.
25,
Came out in
okay.
95.
We went to the 10th anniversary of Pokemon.
Oh, that's right.
Jesus.
I know, right?
Losers.
What mall was that at?
It was a Denver thing.
Yeah.
It was in Denver.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember going to the movies and seeing Pokemon 2000 as well. I mean, but I was
Still a good movie.
Yeah, I was 10. I was 10. That's acceptable when you're 10.
By the way, another fun fact, just because we're throwing these out today, and also I know way too much about Nintendo. This is something that people have found out about me today. Pokemon is a blanket statement the highest grossing media franchise in the entire world, only followed up by Hello Kitty, which makes 20 billion with a B less dollars than Pokemon.
Why are
That's
we
the
in this
runner-up.
business? Can we go do something else that, I don't have to starve constantly? God.
But just think about that. Pokemon has grossed over
Pokemon makes more money than
$1 billion.
Disney.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa. That's a claim. I'm gonna need some
No.
facts to
Any
media-
single Disney franchise.
Oh,
Any
okay.
single franchise
By itself.
Even more than
they do
Frozen?
top all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, actually a lot more than Frozen.
Because it's been around longer, first of all.
That's fair. And yeah.
That's insane.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
So on the topic of the video game style, what is a console or something that you can think got feature creep and really suffered because of it?
the Xbox with the Kinect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's one
Or
where
the Sony or the PS3 with the eye, the Sony eye.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess
well,
I actually can't call it feature creep because then I'm going back on kind of what we've said.
the
That
base was
actually
good.
The base was good and it was an addition. So that's
Yeah.
not feature creep. I have to think differently about
I think
this.
it's when they started to like completely redo their UI to kind of require it. And I mean, they've since come back from that because with the current Xbox, you don't.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't
there
even-
was a point where the
don't
UI
have a Kinect anymore.
Yeah, I actually have the Kinect collecting dust in a drawer over here.
You can use it as a 3D scanner.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Well,
It's
and
a really
I mean,
good
the
piece of
Kinect
hardware.
actually, like a lot of people actually use the Kinect to help them program experiences because it has really good depth. Like it's a good piece of hardware. Yeah.
It was underutilized immensely because I don't think that Microsoft did or was it the Microsoft Xbox back then? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think Microsoft did a good job at really explaining what it did. And when you look at the time when it came out, I don't know if they could have, because the idea of VR and AR and your body being the controller was not something that realistically the community
Wii
was
ended up
ready
doing
for.
that a lot better.
So, yeah.
Yes.
With
barring
additions also.
the broken
Yeah.
television lawsuit
Yeah.
where they had to start including the little wrist strap.
That's your own damn fault, though.
And the Wii, that was literally just a IR sensor. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was an IR blaster and the remote. I believe it was the remote that was the receiver, and the thing that went on top of your TV was the blaster.
I think so.
I think so. That way it wouldn't mess with some TVs.
That's true.
What's a good console that has crazy? Oh, here's a great design thing. This isn't feature creepy like console ruining feature creepy or anything, but it is feature creep, and I do not like it. The PS5 looks like doo-doo dog shit, and I don't know why
They tried to make like some kind of space clam, and I'm like,
no, but they like
Clam.
they over designed it to the moon and back, and we're like, yes, this is what the consumer wants. This weird obelisk that doesn't fit anywhere.
It doesn't.
Like imagine that and to lay it on its side, you have to dismantle the bottom with
put feet on it,
screwdriver, and then put it back on to another mount that is included. So it's just like, guys,
what?
Like, I respect the fact that you tried to make your console this weird art piece. Yes, but does it look good anywhere?
It's
no.
Not
like,
necessary
the
whatsoever.
Xbox is still just a black box, and people like it because it's just a black box.
So did you see what IKEA did related to this?
No.
If you go to IKEA now, they have a cardboard box. There's a black one and a white one with the size written on it. And it says, and the little thing is, which comically oversized console do you have? So you can take this cardboard thing, put it on their showroom furniture and say, oh yeah, it'll fit or it won't.
It'll fit my PS4 because it's got fins. Yeah, like that's feature creep to me because they could have designed it normal.
That's design feature creep for sure. You know that.
Oh yeah.
There's really no reason for it.
But you look at what the PC industry has done, right? RGB specifically is one of those things to me that has been feature crept so much. You can buy RGB lit cables for your computer. And don't get me wrong, I love me some RGB. I've got an RGB mouse, an RGB
See, I can't
keyboard.
hand it. I can't stand it whatsoever.
My computer is stealth. Really only because my motherboard doesn't have RGB. My ring light is RGB. For what reason? I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. It serves no purpose. It was the one that was 50% off on Amazon that fits my camcorder that I use as a webcam, okay?
I guess it's kind of like in what situation does that actually sell more? Because I guess if people want RGB cables,
to certain demographics who look for that, it certainly does.
Because when I think of feature creep, I start to think that it's impacting your business, right?
You would think
you are starting to ruin the integrity of your product.
I mean, they're kind of ruining the integrity of the industry, right? Because we're moving away from a computer that sits in a corner and is just it is there to serve
it's
a
good
purpose,
at its job,
and now it's turning into
this
is what I think why Sony did what they did. It's turning into a statement, an art piece, like you said, Tad. And it is kind of keeping up with the Joneses, right? I mean, I bought a case. One, because of it's a really high airflow case, and I knew I was going to be overclocking. But two, yeah, it's got a tempered glass side panel. So if I did want to put RGB in it, I could.
Well, that's
and
why now, like, every component, you can get a version that has RGB.
I literally started off with RGB fans. Totally started off with RGB fans. Ultimately, I didn't like them, so I'm part of the knock to a master race because that's where I should have been, and I'm a bad boy for even trying to do something else. But
you suffered so hard with that for so long.
Oh, I don't want to talk about
I remember when you were going through that. That was not a fun time.
It was not fun, and my fans still aren't PWM, by the way, so I think there's something on the motherboard, but that's another talk for another day. But I think the computer industry specifically is a victim of feature creep, and you see it. You see it in all these graphics cards. Like, I am seeing people selling the RTX 3060, which is a $350 graphics card, I think, or $300 graphics card, for $1,200 US. I report every one of you assholes that are selling. Like, look, if you want to sell it for $50 over because you didn't end up using it, and you wanna make sure you can pay for the taxes and maybe $20 for dinner, I ain't judging.
Yeah, but when
you
it's like
guys
double,
that are charging triple, quadruple, go to hell. You are the reason we have this problem. And like, go ahead.
I realized a really good feature creep of the PC industry. It's it's fucking computer mice.
Dude.
Wow.
Let me bring up two mice that I have. So I have it's kind of nasty, but it is the Performance MX. This was the precursor to the MX Master Series. The first mouse that Logitech really did that was focused on performance. This mouse weighs like 150 grams. Gotta pull things away. My mouse, which as you can see is beautifully RGB, is a Cooler Master Mouse MM711 with the RGB. It is 60 grams. And I did not realize how much a light mouse really mattered until I tried one. Did it need the RGB? No. Was it worth the 3 grams to have it? You bet your sweet ass it was, because you can get the one without it for 3 grams less. But like,
I'm even talking like buttons. Here's the thing.
The Razer Naga.
Are there people that need those buttons? Yeah, there are. There's pro gamers that need those buttons.
Yep.
But wow, you just really tacking on a lot of extra buttons onto these bad boys.
Razer put a full numpad on the side of their mouse. It was the Razer Naga, because I have one.
Oh my god.
And you know what? In certain games, you can macro that out to stuff, and I use it specifically when I was really into Photoshop, because I could set those as macros. They were macro buttons, which, okay, great use case. Ultimately, I did not like the Naga. It was incredibly heavy. It got hot. And
oh my god, what?
Yeah.
A mouse getting hot?
Well, that's too much.
That's horrible.
Okay, it didn't fit. It had a lot of metal in it, so the warmth from your hand would get absorbed into the mouse, and it would be physically hot.
Gross.
Oh,
but
no.
I look at this MM711 that I have, and it's got like this honeycomb pattern, which, yes, there are available STL files. I can 3D print a shell for my mouse. But dumb things. Okay, your hands are not clean. I don't care how clean you think your hands are. They're not. And there is hand goop inside of some of these little things, and it's going to be a bitch to clean out. I'm going to take the mouse apart.
You got to get a toothpick.
No, I'm going to take the mouse apart because I know I can 3D print stuff for it. Take it apart, chuck it in the dishwasher, and let the dishwasher handle it. Yeah, you have a very similar mouse, Thomas. The ones with all the honeycomb, but you know what? Boy, your hand never gets warm.
God.
I wonder why.
But it's like,
so light.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much just what I need. It's good.
And like, I can turn off the RGB, but my keyboard is RGB. And I do have an RGB mouse mat that Amber got me, but I'm not using it at this office.
The mat, too?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's like it's just like...
It's excessive.
This is an RGB mechanical keyboard with Cherry MX Brown switches that the cat messed up, but I did fix it, so I just have to put it back together. Just haven't done it yet. You know, and then you've got the mechanical keyboard industry. I'm looking at you feature creeping sons of bitches. Because that's a big one too. Why do you need... I don't want to type...
Mine's really simple. This is my keyboard.
Oh, you have a TKL. So it's a 10 keyless.
Mm-hmm.
What's with the colors? Just because?
It's red, yellow, and blue, and green.
Okay.
Primaries, baby, and green. But it's primaries.
So I'm going to go to something other than all this recording stuff, so just in case. But this is my keyboard. I don't know if you guys can hear
that. That is, ooh.
It's
yeah, I can hear it.
They're blue clicky key switches, and there's no valid reason for anyone to have it. I just needed another keyboard.
It's mimicking a mechanical keyboard.
No, it is a mechanical keyboard.
Oh, okay.
These are Kale.
Mine is too.
These are Kale light strikes. The click is not functional, so it's actually an optical switch with the click added to it. The cherry blues that are clicky, those are an actual physical click that is occurring inside of the keycap. We can get into that a whole nother day. But I think the mechanical keyboard industry now, with utilizing 3D printing, getting the little Stream Deck thing of buttons. And yes, Stream Decks are cool because each key is a little OLED screen, but that is a feature creep of a feature creep of a feature creep.
Unto itself.
And they're like $190 or $200. Are they cool? Yeah. I mean, literally my 3D Connection, my Space Pilot Pro, that's a feature creep problem. I barely use any of the features on it.
You just need the little round one, not
that's actually an interesting
buttons.
point to bring up, Grant, because I feel like we've been talking about feature creep being something that's been, on product designers in their products. But I think feature creep also is, are you someone who is either running a business or you need certain things and you are buying something that you certainly don't need, like, are you going to use these macros, or do you need a keyboard, like, things like that. That's like, well, but did I need it? I feel like there's a little feature creep in,
Yeah, no, I did not
too much
need the
stuff.
Space Pilot Pro. I bought it for a couple of reasons. One, I liked the screen, and it's just because I wanted a screen. The other one was it has an integrated wrist rest onto it, so ergonomics are a big deal for me, especially now with my back. I mean, I'm literally sitting in a $1,600 desk chair that I paid $225 for. It is 20 years old. It is a Herman Miller Aron, and for those of you that have bad backs, they are worth every penny. You can buy them used. But like, it's got things like the Escape, Shift, Control, Alt. It's got 10 different assignable buttons, and yes, I have assigned them all to use in CAD the way that I want, but I just don't use them as much as I should. It made my life better, because now I have something that is comfortable. But did I need the one with the screen? The answer is no. That was a feature creep that doesn't really solve that much of a purpose, because if I have to look down to see what button I'm clicking, I've lost that speed. I can set the macro in the software on the computer and then just hit the button. I don't have to look at the screen. Literally, I have the screen turned off right now because I don't want it to experience burn-in. But it can do things like read RSS feeds. I can show photos on it. I can do things like that. That's not useful. Is it cool? Yes, it's totally cool. But that is an exact example of feature creep. And yeah, I paid more money for it. I mean, you can get just the base joystick from 3D Connection for like brand new $120. This thing, when it was brand new, was $400. I paid $90 for mine. Didn't I send you one too?
You did.
Do you use it?
Every once in a while.
Wait, so what is this that we're talking about? Am I totally
Hold it
lost
up.
Is
somehow?
yours handy? Are you able to hold yours up?
Where the heck did I put it?
Wow, you don't even have it plugged in?
I don't have it plugged in right now.
I bought you I mean, literally, it's the same thing with the computer that we got you. We got you such a
No,
nice computer.
I used that the other day.
Good. All right, let me try to hold mine up then.
What
Hold
did I
on.
do with it? I have it here somewhere.
Oh, look at that. I can set macros inside of OBS Studio. Go figure, because that's what we use to record this podcast. Oh, yeah, we're good.
There we go.
This is it.
Oh, whoa. What the hell?
It's really
And it's chonky
good.
AF. This thing, it's got metal inside of it to make it heavier so that it doesn't move around on your desk. But like your hand goes here, and this is a really sensitive joystick.
It's like a 6-axis control right
It
there.
It's exactly. It is a 6-axis controller, and we've got a screen that, and I can program everything that I want into it. But it's got dedicated Shift, Escape, Control, Alt keys. It's got dedicated keys for inside of a CAD program to give you different views.
You basically wouldn't need the keyboard anymore.
I don't need.
I have never seen one of these things before.
They are kind of god in the CAD community because you either have enjoyed the fruits of owning one, or you just haven't lived. And it's really because of productivity. And, for me as a business, I'm okay. And I think the cheapest one I bought was $35. That was because it had a broken USB cable. Boy, that was tough to fix. It took me like 5 minutes. And the most expensive one I think was $90. I was okay with all of those because the amount of time that I save, because to move around inside of Fusion or Inventor and some of the other programs, you're using Shift and Alt and Control plus a mouse.
It takes a lot of
movement.
the steps out of it.
Yeah, it allows for smooth pans, tilts, and when we're like, if I'm doing a screen share, and you'll see it once we start to edit some of the quality of life things that I've done to my walking cane, which is currently out of my reach. I can't get to it, but whatever. You'll see in the videos how I'm just manipulating this thing very easily. Is this feature creeped? Absolutely. Do I think it degrades from the usability of the product? The answer is no. And that's something to think about, right? What is an acceptable amount of feature creep? Because we've talked about feature creep and said, no feature creep for you. Well, okay, there should be
There are circumstances where
yes.
you might be gaining something.
Yeah.
It's just you want to be careful that you don't get yourself into a bad situation.
Unless it ruins the integrity or objective of your product. That's where I would draw the line, where it's like, and that comes into play when you're talking about you have so many things that it does nothing well anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of really good products do one thing really well. And I think maybe two things, that's possible. Sure. But the moment that you add enough things that the integrity is lost, particularly in design, the moment that you add so many things that the integrity of the design is lost, that's when you feature creeped too hard. And hopefully you have someone to tell you that.
Well, and I think the core thing is if you are hiring a company like 3D Musketeers, speaking of which, we didn't do our mid-roll, but oh well, you can learn more about 3D Musketeers in the links down below. If you are hiring a professional company, hopefully it's 3D Musketeers. It should be 3D Musketeers. By the way, if you've listened this far, give us a like, give us a review. If you're listening on Apple, iTunes, give us 5 stars, please. That helps us, kind of grow our audience. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, comment, let us know what you liked about the video and what you think we could improve on, because we want to keep doing these. We want to make them better for you. But if you're hiring someone, trust them. And, initially I said, Thomas was very much against these QR codes, because I'll go back to that one. I said, no, I really want to do this. We made a specific link for the QR so I could actually track if anyone scanned it. And the answer was no. Nobody ever scanned them. Nobody scanned those QR codes. So yeah, we only tried it for like 3 posts. So we didn't give it enough. We also don't have a big enough audience to try this out with.
It should also be mentioned that trying it ain't bad. You should totally try things.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't double down on it if it doesn't work.
And don't try them on your final product. Don't use your final product as a beta test. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Be Nintendo. Beta test stuff on your final product after it's already out.
Chris Krimitsos puts it best in his book, Start Ugly. Is my copy in here? No. I have my copy back.
I was going to say, that was among your articles, yeah.
We're not going to get into that. But yes, his book is called Start Ugly. I'll put a link in the description. I'm going to try to make it an Amazon affiliate link because I'm pretty sure we have an affiliate account now. But the book is called Start Ugly. And yeah, you want to start ugly. You want to fail forward and fail often. If you're failing saying that, oh my God, everything's going to... Stop it. 1, calm the F down. 2, let us know, because we're going to have a psychologist on this podcast pretty soon. We want to hear from you into some of the things that you do. That what you're doing is called catastrophizing. But why do you do it? So we're going to ask questions to a psychologist. It's going to be really, really cool. Talking about the psychology of making. That's going to be a fun, really long episode, most likely. But trust the experts. Thomas said it's not going to work. I said I still want to try it. We failed, but we failed forward because ultimately we learned, what did those QR codes cost me? Maybe $5 a piece?
Less than that, probably.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that cost. I'm concerned if we get one customer out of those QR codes, they have paid for themselves. So now if you're listening, go back to our Instagram and scan all of them so I can be right.
Win the argument.
No, but it was clear no one saw them. Listen to your experts. If you disagree with them and you choose to say, well, I'm going to still do it this way, put a time frame, whether it's 3 tries, 6 tries, 3 weeks, 3 months,
Give
whatever.
yourself some criteria. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't hit your mark, then say, you know what? Cool. But if you hit your mark, now everyone's got a really cool learning experience. It says not only are you learning that, hey, this idea was good, your designer is learning one more thing. And this is
There's
the cool
a give
thing.
and take.
It's the cool thing here about 3D Musketeers. As we are getting better with our marketing, our video content creation, our video production, we are learning for our clients because we're going to start offering this as a service to you guys as well, to assist you with your not just brand identity, but what it looks like in social media. So to create this social media content guide, we're literally in the process of doing it for 3D Musketeers because it allows anybody on the team, you know, let's say Thomas is busy and can't get to making the post for the day. Somebody else on the team can grab that guide. They can see what we normally use. We can see the hashtags. We can look at their performance, and we can decide which ones we want to use. Because if you are moving toward feature creep, but you're doing it with data that shows that the feature creep is valuable, and not just, oh, I think people will buy it. Don't feature creep just because. Move toward it with data. I move toward the QR code because I know that's a big thing these days. People are using QR codes for more and more things. It might work. It didn't. And now we've reverted back. But if you're moving with clarity, with vision, with data, you are putting yourself in a position to succeed. And at that point, to me, it's no longer feature creep. This is a new feature for an existing product. It's adding the Rumble Pack to the N64. It's not producing an N64 with a Rumble Pack. And that's... I don't know if we had scripted this, could that Nintendo example have gone any better?
It really
Truly,
worked.
It
worked well.
Somehow really fit the mold on this one.
If you've listened or watched this far, we'll give you a little secret. We don't script these. We know what we're going to talk about. We knew that today's episode was chapter was going to be all about what is feature creep and how to avoid it. But everything that comes in it, we do our own separate research. We don't share it with each other. Maybe we should. Because we want to bring different opinions to the table. And if we create an argument, well, that's just good content at the end of the day. And it provides us with very real back and forth rather than something that is actually scripted. There is no script for this at all. And I guess to me, it makes it feel more real. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now I'm going to see how many of you actually listen this far. But it is about understanding your product, your goal, and how you can get there the most efficient way impossible. Because that's our goal. Our goal is to help you get there as 3D Musketeers. But if you can't get there yourself, then you need to take a step back and understand, what is my product really about, right? The KISS principle. Keep it stupid simple, or keep it simple stupid.
Keep it simple,
Keep it
stupid.
simple,
Yeah,
stupid.
You got it.
Okay, but there is the keep it stupid simple, which I think is the real one. Keep it simple stupid is the one where you're telling it to somebody else and you're calling them stupid, I think. Right?
Mhm.
It works either way, but
Yeah.
you want to have your minimum viable product. And if that, and look, that's what 3D printing is all about. Make your MVP with 3D printing. If it's a physical product, 3D print it. You're going to lose money. Great. But you're going to get a phenomenal test before you drop tens of thousands of dollars on an injection mold. Right? If your product is going to have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all this other crap, and you get no downloads from the App Store for your app, guess what? Nobody's using it.
Yep.
And there's no reason for you to support it. So, and if you add it in there, it's going to cost you a lot. Well, it's going to cost us a lot because we didn't. That's another story for another day. But nonetheless, anything else before we close this one out?
I think that about covers
No?
it.
All right, so real quick, let's recap. What is feature creep?
Feature creep is when you try to add too much to a product or a design or marketing that muddies the water and does not really add anything to your original idea.
And how can you avoid it?
Trust your
Set clear goals.
experts. Set
Yeah,
goals,
trust your experts.
Trust your
Yeah.
experts.
Yep. If you are paying somebody to help you and you tell them that they are wrong, you should be reevaluating why you're paying them.
Try and do one thing really good first. And then
you
if
can
you've
add
got a
stuff.
prototype that you think is awesome, then maybe add something and then test
But
it
don't
again.
move the goalposts before the first thing is even done.
One piece at a time.
Yeah.
One piece at a time.
Step by step.
Yep. So hopefully you guys have learned some valuable things today. Let us know what you want to hear from us, right? This is not just us talking to each other. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. Let us know if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know in the comments below. All the links to stuff that we talked about will be in the description as well. Don't forget to call your loved ones. As always, keep making awesome. This was Chapter 26. What is feature creep and how to avoid it? Take care.